Okay, so using order of operations to evaluate. Evaluate means solve. My kid asked me that last night when she was doing her homework. What does mean solve? Of course, use order of operations. So PEMDAS, which should be pretty much review. One thing that people still kind of get wrong sometimes is multiplication and division go as one step in order of the problem, and so does addition and subtraction, so keep that in mind. Then here to solve, I'm going to start within the innermost parentheses, starting with the exponents. 6 squared would be 6 times 6, so that's 36. Bring everything down. 2 times 2 is 4. And bring it all down. And then within the parentheses, multiplication and division in order of the problem. So you're going to have to do 36 divided by 3 first. 12 times 4, 48. I'm going to run out of room here. Can you turn off your AirPods and put them away, por favor? Did I actually hear that?
Wait, wouldn't you do 3 times 4 first, then do 36 divided by 12?
No, because multiplication and division is in order of the problem. It says one step. You have to do 36 divided by 3 first.
Okay.
Yeah. 12 plus 76 is 88. Why is it so blurry?
I just did my work on a separate sheet of paper. Is it cool if I staple that? If I staple the work paper?
I would do it on here, but that's cool.
Yeah, well, I write real big.
That's fine.
I mean, it's a review for you. So.
Okay.
That's true.
Number 2. Number 2, it gives you the values for each variable. You just need to plug that into the expression and then solve using order of operations. So that's what I'm going to do. And then negative 2 cubed would be negative 8. And 3 times 1/3 is just going to be 1. 3/4 times negative 8. You could do that in the calculator if you wanted to, or just off to the side. 3/4 times 8 over 1. And you're done. And number 3, same idea, just plugging in values for the variables.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next 3 are name of the property illustrated by each equation. I kept this on here specifically because these are really popular on the SAT. Remember, these are just example problems that you might get, so I want to go through all the answer choices and make sure you understand what each of those might look like. Commutative property of addition might look like 2 plus 4 equals 4 plus 2. You can add numbers in any order and get the same result. Commutative property of multiplication would be like 2 times 3 equals 3 times 2. You can multiply in any order and get the same value. Associative property of addition, what that would look like is like 2 plus 4 plus 8 equals 2 plus 4 plus 8. You can change the grouping when you just have addition or multiplication, but this one's addition, and you'll still get the same result. The biggest way to identify the difference between this one and commutative is the order of the numbers should stay the same. So the order is 2, 4, 8 here, 2, 4, 8, the order is the same. And then distributive property would look like this, and then you would distribute this number to both, and you get 2x plus 6. Okay, so based on that, what do we have here? Looking at this, 5x and 5x are the same here, so I can kind of disregard that. Then here, this is different, 4y plus 3x and 3x plus 4y. They changed the order, so that would be commutative property, and it's the commutative property of addition, so it's A. And number 5, it has the parentheses, and looking at the order of the numbers, 7x, 9x, 8, 7x, 9x, 8, the order is the same. So therefore, the grouping is the only thing that's changed. It's associative property of addition because we're dealing with addition. As far as identity property of addition, the best way to remember that one is it keeps its identity. So like 4 plus 0 equals 4. That would be identity property of addition. The other one is identity property of multiplication. Remember, this is also your notes for the test too, so just write down any additional notes. Identity property of multiplication would be like 7 times 1 equals 7. It keeps its identity. And then number 6, it's reflexive, but honestly, we didn't go over that one. Just cross it out. I'm going to make sure that one's not on the exam as well. Okay, and then next it says simplify each expression. So when it says simplify, we're not solving for a specific number, we're just simplifying the expression. For this, we're going to distribute, and we're also going to combine like terms to make a simpler expression. So here, distributing this 3. What's that? Oh, cross it out. We didn't learn that. Okay, so 7 I distributed, and then here I'm distributing as well.
Why is it plus minus? What is that?
It's the same thing as subtracting. I just prefer to work with negatives, but it's up to you. And then we'll combine like terms. 3r and negative 8r would be negative 5r. And then negative 30t and negative 28t, negative 58t. Next. Okay, moving up to the top, write an algebraic expression to represent each verbal expression. For these, I would recommend writing it out before you look at the answer choices. The exam will be multiple choice. I just took out some of the multiple choice to save room here. It says 5 times the sum of a number and 1. 5 times the sum of a number and 1 would look like this. And then for number 9, 1 less, so we're going to be subtracting 1. Then twice the square of a number. Twice the square of a number and subtract 1. And then 10, solve. So when it says solve or evaluate, you're solving for a specific number. And we're just solving for v. So I'm going to first distribute. and then solve for b. Okay, then from here, we have v equals 9 over 21, which needs to be simplified. Okay, so now we're going to move into absolute value. Remember, the absolute value of a number is always positive, so absolute value of 3 would just be 3, or absolute value of -2 would be 2. We have to solve what's inside the absolute value, and then once we get that value, then we can decide what that answer is. So for number 11, absolute value of 2. So we're solving everything inside first. And I get absolute value of -12. So that would be +12. Okay, number 12, solve each equation. They didn't give us a value for w, so we're going to solve for w. First things first, we need to get the absolute value by itself. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Then to get rid of this -3, divide both sides by -3. Okay, once I get to this point where it's just the absolute value equals a number, I have, this could be +4 or it could be -4. Like, whatever's inside here could either equal +4 or -4. So we actually have to set up two different problems. One with it equal to +4 and one with it equal to -4. And then we solve as usual. Get this answer and this answer. And the way this will look in the answer choices, it'll have a bracket and just have the -3 and 1. It doesn't matter what order those numbers are in.
Will the exam go in order like this?
I don't know. It'll probably be more random than it would be in order. 13. Solve each inequality, then graph the solution set on a number line. Okay, so when we're solving inequalities, they solve just like equations. The only thing is if you divide or multiply by negative, you have to change the sign in the other direction. So I'll keep that in mind, but just solving as usual. Okay, so here's the inequality. C is less than 1. And then it says to graph it on a number line. And again, this will be multiple choice, so. Okay, so if you remember, if we have a less than or equal sign without the line underneath, we do an open dot. If it does have the line, then we use a closed dot. So in this case, it doesn't have the line, so we're going to do an open dot at 1. And then C is less than 1, so it would be all the values less than. Okay. 14. Same idea. We're just going to solve for u. So in this case, we are dividing by a negative, which means the sign will change direction. So it'll turn into the opposite direction like that. It has the line underneath, so we'll do a closed dot. And u is greater than, so the arrow goes this way to all the numbers greater than. And then also remember, I mentioned this when we were learning it, but if your variable's first, this arrow will match this arrow, so you can check yourself to make sure that you did it right. 15. Find f of -1 if f of x equals this. So your input's -1, you're just going to put -1 for all of your x's. Technically, f of -1 equals so f of -1 equals -3. So when your input is -1, your output is -3.
I was writing down the equation, looked up, and you were done.
Sorry. Yes.
Is the answer just -3, or do you have to write the whole thing out?
Actually, in the answer choices, it just says -3. Okay, 16. Write this in standard form. Standard form is a x plus b y equals c. So we're just going to rearrange this. Put the x on the other side, so 5x plus 3y equals -y. So you're going to add 5x to the other side, which makes it
Oh, you
positive.
literally just add. Okay.
Yeah. And then remember, with standard form, you don't want any fractions, no fractions. And a cannot be negative. So let's say you had something like 5x plus 1/3 y equals -1. You'd have to multiply this whole thing by 3 to get rid of the 1/3. Okay, moving on to the back. When you're ready. Okay, we're only going to go to 21 today, so we're just going to do that top section. It says find the x-intercept and the y-intercept of the graph, and it gives us this equation. Now, x-intercept is where y equals 0, and y-intercept is where x equals 0. So we are going to plug in y equals 0 here, solve for x. So 3x minus 2, 0 equals 12. 3x equals 12, so x equals 4. So our coordinates here would be 4, 0 for the x-intercept. And then for y-intercept, we plug in x equals 0. So if we were to graph these two things, we could graph the line. As far as the answer choices go, it doesn't have it as coordinates. It has it just like this. 4, semicolon, 6. So this is what you'd be looking for. Oh, -6, sorry. Find the slope of a line that passes through these points. So the equation for slope is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I would recommend labeling these before you plug anything in. x1, y1, x2, y2. So that'd be 8 minus 6 over -7 minus 2. -2/9.
Is the answer?
Yep. Then for 19, it says, what is the slope of a line that's parallel to this graph? So parallel lines have the same slope. So once we have the slope of this line, then we'll say, okay, a line parallel to that would have the same slope. In order to see the slope here, we're going to get it into y equals mx plus b format, because then we'll be able to identify the slope. So to do that, I'm going to subtract 2x, put it on the other side. So 3y equals -2x plus 5. Divide everything by 3. Y equals -2/3 x plus 5/3. So something with the same slope or parallel to that would be -2/3. If this said perpendicular, so perpendicular, the slope is opposite reciprocal, meaning opposite sign. So a line perpendicular to this would have a slope of 3/2, the reciprocal and the opposite sign. Number 20, this one's popular on the SATs as well. Write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line that has a slope of -4 and passes through these numbers.
So, sorry, Rupert.
What's that?
How did you do the opposite reciprocal? Whatever. Yeah.
So if this said a slope perpendicular to this line, you would take this slope and just flip it. That's the reciprocal and opposite sign, so it'd be turn positive.
Is the slope not 2/9?
No, that's number 18.
That's number 18.
Oh, you did an entire another problem.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I was
Okay.
behind a question.
I'm trying to finish this up. Okay. So 20, an equation in slope-intercept form, that's y equals mx plus b. Slope of -4 and passes through these numbers. So y equals -4x plus b. We need to find out what b is. So what we're going to do is actually plug in this x and y to see what the y-intercept would be. So this would be 2 equals -4 times 1 plus b. What are you doing over there? Write this down, Gage. This is worth points.
I did that question right.
But you
You
got
write down all the work.
No, I just knew it. I already knew it.
Yes.
Wait.
ESP? Math ESP? Okay, we got b equals 6.
Oh. I'm getting -4x plus 2.
Is that right?
No. Well, okay, so the answer is y equals -4x plus 6.
That's a G.
Oh, did,
Your exam's 20% of your semester grade, by the way.
huh?
The exam's 20% of your semester grade.
Did you do something with the 1?
Put that with the -4.
Dude, you were too busy eating your pencil. Okay, last one, 21. The graph of the linear inequality right here is the region blank, the graph y equals 3x minus 1. What it's looking for is y is greater than or equal to, so it's on or above this line. And that would be the answer choice you would choose in the answer choices. And that's it for today, and we'll just continue tomorrow. So if you'd like to get your phone and work on Khan Academy, that is cool.